And what is that, Graham?
This is a wonderful Christmas gift that I gave my lovely aunt and uncle when I was very young and very naive.
Very nice.
And isn't it fantastic? It's made it on their tree every year since.
And Gus, littlest brother of mine. And do you call me every year and say that you've placed my son's
pine cone
on your tree?
Absolutely.
Yes, you have.
And it has a beautiful
And let's show them where it goes.
Right here.
There we go.
It looks so good. I still owe her a blowout for that.
All right. I guess you've all have figured out by now when I am not on every day, it's because the plague did hit me in the form of bronchitis. And so I have been trying to get myself better so that I can continue with Vlogmas, because I really, really enjoy doing it. That being said, I can't talk very much because then I start coughing. I am on antibiotics and some cough suppressants and some steroids. So 1 week to go till Christmas, and I am really hoping that I get to come on here every day. I feel pretty proud of myself that I'm showered up, not makeuped, but you know, we'll take what we can get. So I'm going to go through the 5 days that we have from the 14th to today, the 18th. I'm going to show you some of my spinning. The technique today is going to be the seaming for the quilted pullover, my favorite seaming technique, which only uses half of one stitch on either side. So the seams are not thick. They're nice and thin, and I actually find it very quick to do and very easy. So let's get started. I'm dreaming of a pink Christmas. Suburban Stitcher. Pretty. So nice. Ooh. Do you know that part of me is rethinking then I should do the shawl? I don't know. I don't know what to do. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm trying not to talk a lot because it kind of leads to a lot of coughing. So, Vita Lifestyle, day 14 is Scotland, Buttermints. Oh, I love these things. I have to keep these in order. Day 15 is Belgium. Ooh. I can't pronounce it, and I'm not even going to try. Day 16 is Puerto Rico, Coquito. They're so clever. 17 is Hungary. Apricot. I can't wait to see what that looks like knit up. And 18 is Mexico, Ponche Navideño. Ooh. So this is going to come up really, really red, but it has beautiful... Oh no, it came up exactly the right color. That's a good camera for you. So we will get to knitting on that. And so I had up until day 13 done. So let's show you what that looks like. So this is the beginning of the third strip. So we will have almost the whole back done. And now we have Primrose, her Advent. So one thing that I knew that I could do when I wasn't feeling good was spin. And so I spun a lot. And I'll show you my finished ones. I did get to show you when I opened it up day 5 and day 6, which was Sparrow and Barn Owl. Day 7 and day 8, Red Fox and Lynx, I did not show you me opening them, but I did spin them. So we're up to day 9, and it is White-tailed Deer. And we are here. I just plied this one, which was Lynx. I just plied that one this morning. And here is Red Fox. And I have Sparrow, Barn Owl, and Red Fox ready to show you. But I'm too impatient. I want to see what White-tailed Deer is. Ooh, very pretty. So the one that I plied up this morning, which was Lynx, had a lot of blue, like navy blue, and like this khaki color in it, and it turned out really, really pretty and very like masculine looking. So I think it would be excellent for a colorwork hat for a man. And this one, I imagine, is going to look the same. I loved the way I've loved every single one of them. So this was Sparrow, and here she is, all spun up. And then the next one is Barn Owl. Isn't that a pretty one? And then Red Fox. Red Fox is beautiful too. All these deep, beautiful colors. I love them. They all are starting to be about 200 yards. So it's beautiful. One thing that I realized this morning is, well, I knew this, a lot of you are not spinners. And for those of you that sent me comments saying that you were, you were even purchased some stuff to start spinning. That is just an incredible compliment. And I'm just thrilled. And a lot of you asked a lot of technical questions about the spinning. So what I wanted to go through, which I will do with white-tailed deer, is so I break it in half. I take this braid and I weigh it. This is for tomorrow, but I'll weigh it, cut it in half, and half goes on one bobbin and half goes on the other bobbin, because this ends up being a 2-ply yarn, meaning when you untwist it, it has 2 plies. So Feederbrook Farm, Primrose, Spin Cycle, all those yarns that look like this, they're 2 plies plied together. But what happens if, when you finish plying, what happens if you have one bobbin that has like extra spun single on it? What do you do with it? And as I was doing it this morning, I thought, ooh, I should probably film this, and so that'll be coming tomorrow. But it's something that I'm excited to film and show you. I am going to get started on the knitting for these 5 days. I also have a couple quick projects that I am going to finish up, and I'll show them to you tomorrow if I don't wrap them up and send them off. And that's about it. It's getting on with my day. I am wearing the Quilted Pullover for those of you that are going to ask. It is a Caitlin Hunter pattern, one of my favorites. I wear it 3 seasons. Today it's about 60 degrees and pouring down rain. So it's not, it's not chilly or anything. So this is perfect. The dead of winter, I don't wear this, but I've worn it in the summer with sandals, and I've worn it obviously spring and fall. It's such a great pattern. It is a dolman sleeve, so it's very big and wide. I knit mine in DK weight yarn. The original has the color work done in like a mohair. I didn't do that. I did another DK weight yarn, and I absolutely love the way it looks. So there it is again. I absolutely love the way it looks. And now let's go down to my hands, where I will be demonstrating my favorite seaming technique. Here I have my 2 panels, and I have them together on this needle, this 24-inch needle. So one thing that I suggest you do is weave in your ends as you go. And so I have been weaving in my ends. So a good thing to do while we're here is to, cut your ends and get everything cleaned up so that when we go to seam, we don't have a bunch of ends bothering us everywhere, right? So I've already weaved my ends in as I went along, so I'm just snipping those. Now, I'm assuming that you started your first panel like I did and forgot to leave a long tail for casting. So for seaming. So that is what we're going to go over after I finish cutting these. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and do these the next time. So I have my needle threaded with my yarn. And we're going to come over here. See, I got smart and started doing it. We're going to come over here. And I want you to look at your stitches, at the side of your stitches, okay? And here they are. This is the first stitch, okay? And what I want you to notice when you're looking on the wrong side or the purl side, you're going to notice that the way stitches are made in stockinette is there is a longer looking stitch and then a shorter looking stitch. Longer looking stitch and a shorter looking stitch. So when you're looking at the half part of the stitch, let's turn this over and look at it. What you're going to see is the long part of the stitch, of a stitch, a short stitch, a long stitch, and a short stitch. Long, short, long. The way this technique works is we're going to only be working in the long ends. So it's going to be every other row we're going to be working into. So let's get started. I'm going to go to the bottom here of my crochet cast on. This is my slip knot right here, and here's my first stitch. So I'm going to skip the slip knot and pull my yarn up through that first stitch, leaving a tail to weave in. I'm going to go to my second piece. Now I'm working with the right sides facing, and I'm going to find that last stitch with the crochet cast on, right? And we're going to come up that one as well. Wonderful. Now, what I'm going to do is make sure I'm holding on to the end over here with my thumb just so that it doesn't come apart. And this is the other end. See how much easier it would be if I just was going to be working with this end, but now I have two ends. You know, these are some of the reasons why you don't like to do this, because you have a lot of stuff going on here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that first stitch once again and pull. And now we're connected. All right. Where we go from here is now we're going to go into the meat of our work. Now the first stitch that I see here is a short one. We're going to skip that and we're going to go down into the long end, skip the short one and up the next long one and pull. And now we're going to go back to this side. This first one happens to be a short one. So we're going to go long, skip the short in between and go long. All right. Coming back over to the other side, we're going to go down from where we came, skip that little stitch, and here's the next long one. Down from where we came, come up the long one. This small stitch right here, it almost isn't really a factor, right? It's so small. Over here, we're going down from where we came, skipping that small little stitch and going up the long side again. And once you see it and once you start, it goes very, very quickly. Now, you can steam these pieces so that they lay flat, a little flatter for you if you'd like. But I actually, when I'm not sitting with my arms, over to try to be in the right position, and I have this on my lap, it goes very, very quickly. So we're going, and if you want to keep it like this, you can easily go into the next one and then up. down from where you came, skip one, which you're not going to want to go up in there. It doesn't give you that nice big spot to go into. All right, and then you just zip them closed. I like when I'm working with a long section like this, I like to pull it as I go. Again, if this were in my lap and I wasn't trying to film it, it would look a little bit smoother. But it's far away. There we go. And we're going to continue this all the way up. We are coming up to where we have the 4 colors coming together. And so there are a couple times where you're going to have to figure out where is the short and where is the long, okay? Because when I come back down here, right, and I want to go skip one and go into the next one, that's actually the short, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down from where I came and just come up the next one, okay? Because that's the long. Down, here's the short, here's the long. And now I can continue. And then we'll pull that together. So just be mindful when you are coming up into the next coloring here. There, see? Just be mindful when you're coming up to the next coloring that you might have stopped on a different row, you know, you just always want to use the long sides, and if it's not in perfect sync, then get it in perfect sync. I hope that made sense. Really, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments for me, and I'm happy to answer them. But I actually find this incredibly relaxing to do. And until, you know, everything that you do that you're first learning, you're going to give yourself grace, and you're going to, well, you're going to be a pro by the end of this project, friends, but you're going to give yourself grace, and you're going to say, I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to get better at this. This is a new technique for me. I'm going to practice. This is my practice, and I'm going to have something pretty with it after. Now let's look at what it looks like. It's just this very thin seam. Now we can take these ends and just weave them into the seam. And my suggestion is, with all of the ends, don't leave it all till the end. Unless you don't care and you like, you know, you like weaving in ends as much as I like seaming, then that's fine. But I find that if you periodically stop and weave in your ends as you go, it will be much, much easier for you in the end. Especially when you're doing all of the blocks in the front and the back. Weaving in your ends as you go is just, it's a game changer because you're all done. You just snip those little things, and then you can save all of your panels and seam them all at one time, or you can do like I'm doing, and as soon as you finish a panel, slip it on your weighting needle and seam it. Now, I keep talking because I want to get up to the next point here where we have 4 different blocks coming together to see if that happens again. So we're at the top. I'm continuing in rhythm on this side. And over here, down, let's look here. So we have a long one here, and we have a really long one here. What? Oh, is that my end? Oh, that's my end that I didn't weave in. All right, so practice what you preach, Kay. So we're gonna go down here, we're gonna skip this one, and this is the long one. Oh, I'm glad that kind of happened so that you could see how I am troubleshooting. I'm gonna have to go back in and weave that little sucker in. There we go. Okay. I'll see you when we get to the top. Coming up to the end here. And I love how having this on the needle, it just keeps everything really tidy. You know, and I'm not fussing with the, I'm not fussing with the top of this. Because that could be rolling. Everything is rolling. Okay. Now, over here, we have a long one, a short one, and then whatever goes on the needle. So we're done on this side. So what I'm going to do is on this side, I have a short one and a long one. So I'm going to go back down here and just come up that last long one. There we go. Bring that to the back so you all can see how pretty. Now, let's go back, because I remember when I was first a knitter, people would say, and then just weave these in. And I always wanted to say, like, I really would like to see that done. So that's what we're going to do. Excuse me. So I'm going to take one. I think I'm going to change my needle to a sharper needle. These are embroidery needles that I found on Amazon, and I really like them because they're sharp and there's different sizes. You know, I can get worsted weight yarn through the eyes of that. So when I want to use a sharper needle, I like to use that. Now, my darning needles do have sharp ones, but I've been really liking the way these are working. So the reason why I'm using a sharp needle is I'm going to be working into the seam, but I'm going to be going through a couple of I'm going to take half of this, so I'm splicing it in half on both sides, because if you remember when we started, the first stitch that we came, the first stitches that we came across, they were short stitches. And so you can see there's just a little bitty separation right there. So I want to close it because that's the way I roll. So I'm grabbing half of a stitch here and half of a stitch on the other side. And I'm just going to close that up like that. And I'm going to work my way through, just stabbing as I can. Just going up the seam, right? And now I'm pulling it through. It kind of takes a little bit to pull it through because I'm not going this way through the stitches. I'm going through the stitches, right? So it's going through different plies, and it is nice, and it's nicely tucked in there. So now we have this one. And I'm going to do the same thing. I don't have to go as far. Now, for those of you that are going to want to, come back down if you'd like for a couple, right? If you think that's not going to be enough. You can absolutely do that too. I like to give things a little tug, and now I'm going to cut my yarn. I always cut my yarn on a diagonal. So what that does is, you see there's little hairs here, there's little plies. Do you see them? And what those will do is those will felt to its friends. That just gives it a little extra. Whereas if you cut it blunt like that, it's harder for the yarn to get that done. So I always like kind of cut on the diagonal. I like to see these little guys hanging out, because when I give it a little rub, that gives them a chance to work in. Now you'll see this long one that is going to be for the next panel. And when I get that done, I'll show you how I start that as well when you leave the long tail in the beginning. I'm going to come back up here because remember I forgot, and by we I mean me, I forgot to weave this in. So I'm going to do the same. Now this wants to go down this way. Like, see how the yarn, it kind of tells me where it wants to go. So we're going to come down here, and we're just going to come through the seam, stabbing it. See how it goes through the plies. And now I'm going to cut it on the diagonal. I like to leave this until the end. I don't know why. I wonder if we could do it now. Let's do it now because I want to show you what I want to do. So I'm working on the wrong side here. And I want this to come back to its friend. So I'm going to bring my yarn over to this side. See how nice and closed up that looks now? That's the way I want it to look. So I'm going to come back over here. And now I'm going to just work into the seam. Give it a little stretch. We can absolutely work this one in if we want, but since we're going to still be working with these stitches, I'm just going to leave it for now. We're going to cut this on the diagonal. And there you go. We've seamed up the first one. Let's see what it looks like on the other side. Oh my gosh, is this fun? Look, the colors are really pretty and happy and festive. Oh my goodness. And look, how pretty.